We start here in a minute. We're going to be working on some stuff today. So if anybody wants to hang out with me and ask questions about, all kinds of stuff, we can talk about Linux and systems and really whatever we want to talk about. So give me a second. I'll get going here. Make sure I got my stuff all looks good. Pull up our events that are coming up. Get ready to talk about those. Should probably turn something on to be my closed captioning. Let me get that going real quick. Hopefully this one's fine. It's already copied. That's pretty good. All right. That's what we got going on here. Transition that. Come over to streaming. Let me make that a little smaller up there. There we go. All right. So, what are we doing today? We're working on Linux and systems and I don't know, all kinds of stuff. Probably a whole bunch of getting ready for tomorrow because I have a bunch of course stuff that I want to get done and get organized. So, let's talk about what the events are coming up in our Discord. Bash study group's coming, so that's all skill levels welcome. You can go in there, hang out. You can sign up even if you're not going to do it, just to be there. They're going to study, Bash and do all kinds of stuff. That will be in your local time if you're looking on Discord, so you can find that in your local time. Then tomorrow we're going to do the 16-week automation course. I'm really torn on this. I may have to move this later in the afternoon, later in the evening, but that's just because I have a prior engagement that was made not with my knowledge, so long story on that. But if that gets moved, it'll get moved back a little ways, but only there. And then I also plan on getting all the recordings done here probably earlier in the day tomorrow so that we have everything all caught up. There's also a study group for that's up on the 4th, and that's on the Sunday at 12. And then there's a writer's room. So writer's room are people that work on the course and work on the published version of the book that's out there free for anybody that wants it. So, all right. So I just wanted to show you guys all that stuff because I think maybe that's useful to some of you. Maybe that's something that, I don't know, some of you want to work with or whatever. Let's get into, all right. So we gotta clean up the labs that I'm working on. So I have a whole bunch of lab stuff that's kind of done. We finished up lab 6, so we could go through that if anybody wants to see lab 6. But now I got to put together lab 7, which is going to be container environment. So we're going to be doing some stuff with Terraform this week. Move this up so you guys can see. There you go. All right, so you guys can see my closed captioning. Yeah, I'm going to put together container environments. 8 and 9 are done as far as that goes, so I'll get those going. And then I need to build lab 10 tonight as well. So I'm kind of like, not like super pressed on time. I just don't have nearly as much stuff done as I had kind of hoped, considering I had today off of work and just kind of sat around working on this stuff. I got a lot of the notes that I had that I was working on set up. So, yeah. So I think we got a lot of this done. And I'm just going to clean this stuff up. If we want to check in the home lab, if we want to clean anything up, if you guys have any questions about stuff, let me know. I should be able to see questions. Yeah. Let's go check a couple things about the home lab. No, nobody's connected. Just see what's going on in the home lab. Let's check all the servers real quick. I want to do that with a... So hit them all real quick. I just want to see how the environment looks. It looks good. Okay. We could hit that slower if we wanted to, every just 5, now that the environment's all kind of responding. Yeah. Nodes look like they're up, so that's good. That's what we expect. All right. Let's clean it up then. Let's get the things that we need for lab 7 put together. don't think I need the Ansible Kubernetes core module for Lab 7. I feel like we needed that for Lab. Hold on, I gotta look at something. We need that for Lab 8, I thought. Yeah, so we don't need that for Lab 7. I should pull up some of the other weeks too, though, just so I see where I'm at with all of them. How far have I gotten along in this? This was Lab 8. Okay. Oh, yeah, because I moved. Okay. That's my fault, because I had moved them. I did them out of order, so that's okay. That's why that one. So 7 does need to remove this. This part isn't needed here. Let's get rid of that for now. And the terms go with Unit 8, so that also isn't needed now. Let me also pull this up. See how this is doing. This will be Unit 8. And the review before will be the Unit 7 stuff. So we won't actually need any of this stuff. Maybe we'll leave it for now and we'll clean it up here in a minute. All right. So this is what we're working on then, is getting these things where we want them so that I could do the presentations and the recordings tomorrow. Also, is that not coming up on the Twitch side? Let me see here. All right, there it is. Unit 9. Let me pull up the Unit 9 stuff. This is Unit 9, so we're going to fix that. Control S. And then we'll pull up the automation worksheet as well. We'll make that Unit 9 as well. Okay. And then we need to make this Unit 9. And then we need to clean this up. And probably clean that up. Whoops. Yep. Clean it all up. Okay. There we go. All right. So I am just working on this stuff. Don't worry, guys. It's all water now. If you guys have questions or want to know anything about any of the labs or look at any of them, we can do that. However, I do need to put together the questions for Unit 9, which we already met Unit 9 3 weeks ago. But I need to put together the questions and get those out. And then I also need to make a Unit 10 version of this as well. Unit 10 is what we'll be going over tomorrow. That topic will be, if anybody cares, I'm sure somebody cares, that topic will be for Unit 10, hardening Linux systems. So there's a few things we have to talk about with hardening systems, and they're things that kind of go along with a lot of the other stuff that we've done in our systems world, right? Like hardening systems is probably one of the more common activities that we do. But we're going to tie it back in with the Unit 9 and kind of building a modern style of container. So we're going to do that type of hardening. And then we're also probably going to look at it from like the same perspective as like the security engineering course, where we can harden a box. There's two ways you can harden a box. Is you first build it or later as it lives. But then when you build it as it lives, you have to build that hardening back into the original build, build scripts or build containers or build systems, whatever you're using. So we'll touch on that for tomorrow. And then obviously we have updating and patching, which is going to be a lot of rehash when we get to week 11. But we'll get there. Okay, you get that out of the way. What were we going to do? Think about how we want to do this. It's like I always have all these great plans, and then we get up to doing them, and then I don't even sometimes know where to start. All right. Unit 7, we need to do the full build. Hold on, let me see. 8 Kubernetes. We got Kubernetes done. Let's see how our containerized environments are. What are we doing here? Yeah, we gotta do this whole one from scratch. This one's completely. Wait a minute. Maybe it's not. What is going on here? Oh, okay. I think I see what's happening. I think because we moved. Yeah. I think it's because we moved it to Unit 8, because Unit 8's where it really belonged. Alright, well we gotta go fix this number 7 everywhere. Let's make that 8. Let's make that 8. Let's make that 8. And that 8. Make that 8. Because it's Unit 8 now. We moved it up. I guess this will be one of the things we clean up. Okay. That one's Control S, save. Oh god, don't want Unit 8S on there. Okay. Control S. Get out of there. Look at the verify. That looks right. Go to Unit 2. Just move this one around if we need to. Deploy resource, so Unit 8. Might not seem like a big deal, and it really isn't. We could have just left it 7. I doubt anybody would have even noticed. But it would have bugged me. Because technically now it's Unit 8. What happened was when we were doing the course, I got out of order. I forgot which ones were which, and I didn't look at my syllabus before I built Unit 7. So Unit 7 I actually built, but it was for Unit 8. So that was my fault. Okay. Unit 7. Unit 8. Okay. I think we got any Unit 7s out of the way. Yep. I think we can even probably go here and just search, but the assets here, none of them have that name because we built all of them as we went, so that's good. We also can just spot check real quick. Make sure everything's Unit 8. Yep, no names, no numbers up there. Unit 8, Unit 8, Unit 8. It's all correctly Unit 8. Yep. Okay. Check this one. One more time. Unit 8. Okay. Alright, so we'll take that. We'll add fixed Unit 8 to have proper names. Get that up there. But if any of you guys have questions, let me know. We're just kind of working on getting the environment where we want it, putting some of the stuff together. I have some things now to go build for Unit 7. Actually, all of Unit 7 needs to be built. So part of that, though, is going to come from my Terraform. So I have a Terraform with Docker containers. And this one actually does a lot of the stuff that I need it to. So we're going to take some of the stuff from this one. Specifically, I think in the foreground. Or maybe it's in the setup. Yeah, we're going to install all this in the setup of Unit 7. Don't even need that anymore. Boom. Okay. So that's going to install the Terraform and the Packer that we need. We don't need to hit escape:/WQ in here, so we don't need that. So that's going to be our setup. That organizes all the things that we need. Welcome to Prolog Automation. Good. There's our setup. There's our index.json, and this says Unit 7 container environments. And then it says here what we're doing, which is install Ansible Kubernetes module. That's not right. This is now deploy containers with Terraform, right? And let's actually look at what we have down here in the Terraform Docker, because then what are my other ones that we're doing? So we had setting up Terraform, creating our first deployment, extending the deployment. So we can actually steal most of this stuff from ourselves. So setting up Terraform, creating a deployment, extending the deployment, we could do those same ideas if we want. So maybe the easiest way to do that is just to grab all these steps right here and drop them up here in our setup, in our index.json for right here. Because the only thing it should change, is the names. So that's perfect. There you go. Terraform, first deployment, extending the deployment. Okay. And actually, what we could do to make this even easier is we can pull this part out, which we need for. Let me go through this in my notepad over here. Pull this out. Throw it in my notepad so I have it. And what we could do is just delete these steps, right? Just get them out of here, remove, and get out of here. And then we'll just steal these steps because, good writers borrow, great writers steal. That's an old saying, but I am going to use it, paste these in. You might say, Scott, you're stealing from yourself. That's fine. I'm just getting us to our working thing faster. It's not exactly the same. We're not doing exactly the same things. This lab is part of a larger set. It's free from professional Linux users group. Your development team has decided to deploy environments in... nope, that's wrong. Just decided to deploy. Decided to use containers. You want to familiarize yourself with rapidly deploying environments of those containers. You decided to look into ensuring that automation supports different tasks that you will need your team to complete. Okay. And then we come down here and we're setting up and making sure that we have Terraform. But we're going to do a different directory for this. We'll just say root. And instead of learn, we'll just say something like, let's say Terraform. That's fine. That's a fine enough name. And then we'll go in there and we'll make sure that we have Docker PS and Docker images because those things have to be running. So those are things that we'll check and make sure are there. All right. Make sure I'm streaming because nobody's talking. That's kind of rare. Not super rare, but all right. We have nothing to check there, so we'll just check that that's good. Then we'll come down here and we'll say, let's create our first deployment of Terraform in our environment. So use Terraform and create a running Nginx on port 8000. Cool, cool. What does your Terraform TF state file look like? Okay, so it's going to run. We're going to do our Terraform format and our validate. We're going to do our Terraform init so that we pull the stuff that we need. When you first set up Terraform, you're using these providers, but those providers don't exist by default on each and every installation of Terraform. You have to pull them down from, they basically have a registry of their providers. Actually, that's out there in the world. You can go look up the Terraform providers registry if you want. Then we do Terraform init to get those, and then they go down into a file, a directory down under there. And then we're going to apply with an auto approve and get that working, and then we're going to check that everything's working. So that's good. Then we're going to go ahead and we should not modify our Terraform state file by hand. That's true. Okay, so that's good. And then we curl to make sure that we can get to 8,000, and that's that part of the lab. Okay, good. Now we come down here, and our team is impressed that you're able to deploy one container, Terraform and Docker. Now they want you to deploy multiple containers with different ports, and you're going to set it up that same way. So you Terraform to destroy the old thing, set up a new configuration, and now you're going to have these different versions of the system. Okay. Validate and then see that you can do everything. Okay. So those first three things, those are the things that we needed to do anyways. So we're going to hit save on all this. Save on that. Make sure, yeah, it has the things that we need. kubeadm 2 nodes, that's fine. Okay. Let's save this one then. So we'll say modified and corrected unit 7 lab for testing. And then now what we can do, if anybody wants to, we can test these labs and make sure that they work. If anybody wants to test lab 6 with me and then also lab 7, I also put it up in the Discord, so if anybody wants to test Lab 6, I think that one's pretty ready. But if you guys want to see me run through it now and talk through the things that I'm going to be recording, I'm either going to record Lab 6 tonight or early tomorrow morning. Well, Lab 6, all of the 6 for automation. And then if I get this one done, I can do 7. 8 and 9 are already ready to go. And then I'm going to be prepped to do the presentation for 10 tomorrow. 10 will be a pretty easy setup and prep. So, all right, so that's 7. Let's get these other ones out of the way. Get HashiCorp out of the way. All right, let's go look at them real quick then. So here's our, where are we at here? Here. Killer Coda. If anybody wants to do the lab with me, I will give you guys the link right here. This is under the automation labs. And now we've got 6 pretty cleaned up and 7 now pretty cleaned up. I kind of want to add one more step to 7, but we can do that later. If anybody wants to do the lab with me, here it is on the Twitch and the YouTube side of things. I turn that music down a little bit. I don't know why that's so loud. There we go. A little bit loud. Music was kicking a little bit, but all right. Let's see how this looks. Pull this up here. Oh, hold on, guys. I'm getting called from one of my buddies. All right, you guys there? I think you guys are there. Let's see. Chat's back. Voice is back. Okay, good. Yeah, that was my buddy Jared. I'm going to hang out with him tomorrow, and this was the thing that the wives planned, so he and I had very little to do with it. And it's going to be right in the middle of our automation course tomorrow. So some of you are like, oh, shit, Scott's going to move the automation course. I'm not moving the automation course. I told the wife, you and Jared's wife have to go hang out, and me and Jared will run the course from his computer. So I'll probably be on as Jared. Let me make sure he's a mod. I'm pretty sure he's a mod in the Discord, but Jared's I'm gonna be at Jared's house. I guess I could bring my laptop too. I just don't want to unhook all my stuff. Is Jared a mod? Yeah, shoot, I can't tell. I don't see Jared here. I'll make Jared a mod, I don't care. I've known Jared since 7th grade, guys. We're gonna be all right if he's a mod. Yeah, I don't see, he's not on there. But anyways, he's actually probably not even logged in, so he wouldn't show up in mods anyways. Make sure he's not down here. No. Okay. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm going to run the course from over there. So I'm going to have everything all ready, and then we'll run the course. I'll run it from his house. So, because he lives about an hour away. It's pretty far drive out to the other side of Phoenix where he lives compared to where I live. Because if you guys don't know, you can't drive around Phoenix in a day. It's such a big, the metropolitan area would take you from sunrise to sunset. So if you didn't know that, it's a pretty big. Okay. Anyways, all right, let's get into this. Let's do the lab. Anybody wants to do the lab with me, it's there. I linked it. The lab is designed as part of a larger set of instruction from Prolog, but it's free, so anybody can go, and here's the book, here's the course, right? And this is lab 7, this is 6, so it's automating Docker builds, right? And it's your development teams have decided to build their own container images. This is a real thing, right? Most people build their own container images on their own laptops, right? Like, there's nothing stopping you from doing it. You should do it if you're in development. So you've decided to work on different container imaging tools to practice modifying containers that are publicly available, and you're just doing that so that you're ready to support. That's the little ball I'm sitting on. That's the if you guys hear that popping, that's the stupid zippers getting stuck under it, and it's like popping. Anyways, it's not the ball's not popping, just the, anyways, it's metal on metal. Your goal is to modify them with your own requirements list of additional software and also your own custom application. So just modifying containers instead of just the generic container you can pull off the web. So use Docker to build a ready container for your environment, and use Apptainer to build a ready container for your environment. So these are the two tasks that you'll kind of do here if you do this lab. cd root docker. I've already put together a Docker file, and you should go to a place like, and this will be like as we do the discussion for Unit 6, you should go to like docker.io and read about the different parameters here and what each of these commands are doing, because each command adds a layer to your container, and there's implications for how big you build a container. There's speed implications for how fast they can stand up in a Kubernetes environment. There's all kinds of things to think about within containers that you don't really think about the first time you turn on a container. You just go, oh, I can build it. It's good. But there's a lot of bloat to containers. There's a lot of, like, there's all these things that we can make more efficient as we start to think about them, right? So anyways, this is what we're doing on this one. And we've got a container file, and we've got some requirements.txt that somebody put together. I put it together for my 3-tier app a while back. And then we're copying in an app directory, and we're saying Python view.py, right? So if we go look at our requirements, these are the things we need: Flask, and it's dangerous. These are the things that you need to turn on the older version of Flask that I had. And then you needed this view.py, which is just going to go and render some index.html file. And then we've got some index.html file out there, which is just like, hey, this is a Flask container. That's it. That's all we do. Then we're going to build this, right? We're going to build this image, or this Docker file as it is. And we built it right there with Docker. We're going to tag it and push it up to a local repository that we have connected to the system right here. Let it run. You might say, Scott, why are you running a local connection? Don't you have a local Docker images? Yeah, but you sometimes have to do this so that you can pull images within like a Kubernetes cluster. So that's something that, you know, we can do, and we can go learn how to do. We can have our own image repository on a machine, right? And this one can be connected to only with via TLS if we want. So things can only come and pull if they have the proper certificates, right? So anyway, so we're going to run this, and we're going to push it up to our local machine, and then we're going to run it on port 6000. We got to use 6000 as opposed to the normal 5000 because that's what we're using for our registry. You can't have the same port bind to two different systems. So there we go. And then we curl it, and we see our low Flask application. Okay, cool. Super simple, but we can build that and modify the image that we pull down with some app that we've built, right? It's a pretty straightforward task, something that you can go in and modify these things and play with them if you wanted to. Okay. The next part is getting this tool called Apptainer. Apptainer is kind of a common tool in high-performance compute and scientific research, because Apptainer allows you to build containers in general. You can just build the exact same container, but Apptainer is used a lot for like very precise scientific reasons, right? Like very specific scientific type tooling and stuff. So anyways, we pull it down. We're going to install Apptainer on the system. It comes from, in this case, the Ubuntu, and then it's this PPA repository. So that's why we had to add the Apptainer PPA. Then we'll go look at our Apptainer version, which is not native to Ubuntu. Apptainer is designed for Rocky and RHEL style systems, but it does work on Ubuntu. All right, so it's going to come up. We're going to see our Apptainer version is 1.45, whatever that means to us. That may mean that it's the most current version. That may mean that it's, you know, not any kind of flagged security vulnerabilities. But whenever we add software to a system, we want to know what version it is so that we can feed that out to our security teams, and risk management can start to track it, and, you know, all these things that we do. It's just another tool, right? And we're going to cd to root, and we're going to make an image, and the image definition is going to be built like this. Hit I before you go pasting anything. And it says Bootstrap Docker, and it says from Ubuntu 2404, so that's the image we're going to pull down. And it says that we're going to do a little bit of an install and do some things. And then we're going to run a script inside of this container. We're going to do like a super simple container, not any kind of persistence. And it's going to try to run this Calce tool that we installed And some of you already know what's going to happen here. But we're going to run that on the environment. So we're going to do escape colon WQ, and we're going to run the app painter build. By the way, guys, this is not a recording, so if anybody has questions for me, let me know. Yet earlier today, I was running a recording, but today, this is me. The wife went to watch a movie with some of her girlfriends, so I am hanging out by myself. Yep, let that go. And now we're gonna build this myimage.sif, which is a file format that we use for Apptainer. Also, for those of you that do werewolf stuff with me, once we build that .sif, we can pull this image into werewolf if we needed to. So now we can start to just stand up nodes from this image if we had to. There's a lot of things we can do from Apptainer into other tools that are in the Rocky, in the CIQ type environment, and I guess you would call it like ecosystem. That's what a lot of people call that when a lot of tools work together well. So it's downloading and building this container. Now it's echoing that, and it's saying I'm inside the container. And now we're going to run this, and we're going to see an error. It says hello from inside the container like it's supposed to, but then it breaks because calsay is not found. And you say, wait, calsay is not found. I swear you just installed it right up here. I swear you just right there. You did apt get install calsay, and it put calsay on your box. Why didn't it work? Well, you can sit around and dig in for a while if you wanted, or you can go fix it by coming down here to the bottom, and calsay is not in your normal path. It's actually over in user games calsay, which is not by default in your path for most systems, most shells by default. So let's rebuild that image. And it says right here, you're going to have to, when you go to do this, it's going to say, yes, you have to overwrite. So we'll overwrite the existing image. We'll pull down the 2404 again, reinstall everything. That's a lot to fix one little error, but I would rather do that and start the whole build over and know that if I give somebody, like if for some reason somebody needed this exact silly little container we needed in some other environment, or I needed to take it to another environment to build the same thing for them, I now know from start to finish it builds. That's why I always go back and rebuild things. You say, Scott, that seems like that wastes 10 minutes of your time. And I say, I'd rather waste 10 minutes of my time now than be stuck in a SCIF somewhere and not be able to get more data in. And, because when you're in a SCIF, you can't even you can't have your cell phone. You won't even have your cell phone in a SCIF. And that's SCIF, right? You can't even, so you might as well get used to doing the same way. So we run it, now it works. There's our little calsay because we fixed our pathing. Fixing pathing is always important in systems. All right. So now we get down, and it says your team has decided to use HashiCorp Packer as a tool for accurately building and pushing images in your environment. So now we just did it with a Docker file, which is a way to do it, and we just did it with Apptainer. And in both those cases, we pulled down and modified a container image from the world, and we did it. There's other things we could have done that we did not do, which is like scan it for vulnerabilities with like a tool like Trivy. Aqua has Trivy. There's some Killer Coda labs on that to teach you how to work with that tool if you want. Excellent tool, fantastic for pipelining and making sure that you're not pulling basically vulnerable software into your environment. So that's valuable. Now we're going to use a tool called Packer from HashiCorp to do something very similar. And we're going to use Nginx, and we're going to add a static page to Nginx. And you might say, Scott, couldn't I have done that with Docker? I'm just kind of giving you a survey of tools that exist. Which tool you use in your environment. I'm not telling you need to be able, like you don't have to say at the end of a week, I use all the tools this week, I've successfully been an engineer. Your engineering career may just be one tool your whole career. I never want to tell anybody that hangs out with me or works with me on doing Linux and any of this stuff that you should be like some tool monkey married to some specific tool, right? But this is another tool that'll do this for you, right? So we're going to CD over into Packer, root Packer, and we're going to make an index.html file. So some of you know that index.html has not fundamentally changed since the early 90s. There's a few headers and stuff that have changed, but for the most part, you could throw together basically just an HTML, a head, a close head, a body, and an HTML close. And if you do that, you're probably going to be fine, right, with your build. So anyways, here's our basic index.html. We're going to write that out. And then we're going to pull down we're going to build a Packer installation here. And this Packer installation, or HashiCorp language build with Packer rather, is this, not Hacker, Packer, right here. Boom. So HashiCorp language is always the same. It never changes. It's like war, right? War never changes, according to Fallout, right? Required plugins. So this plugin is not going to be with it. So we're going to have to do a Packer init to download this Docker plugin, right? And then we're going to use the Docker plugin everywhere to pull down the newest version of Nginx. We're going to change it so that the command works a little differently. We're going to do our build down here, and we're going to have a provisioner file, which is going to make from our local index.html, it's going to be put inside of that machine at the standard path. This is the standard path that the Nginx container runs to share out a static web page. That's all we're going to do is just overload and overwrite our static web page, and then we're going to tag it with Packer Nginx latest. That's all we're doing here. Nothing super fancy, but the plugins they're not there by default. Like I can't do a Packer build right here, it'll break. They'll say you can't do that. Did you run a Packer init? So let's run our Packer init and get that. There it is, right? And then we'll do our Packer build, and it'll say, yeah, I can download that. I can run those things and make those things that you said happen. It's going to make it Nginx latest. So then when I say Docker images, I'll see the Nginx. It'll be Packer-Nginx latest. Some of you might look at that and go, man, Packer looks a lot like how Terraform built. Well, same company, right? Same stuff under the hood. Docker images, there's our Packer Nginx right there from 9 seconds ago. We just made it. And now I'm going to run it on port 8080. And then if I curl it, I should see welcome to Prolog look around, which is our basic little page that we made. And now it's statically set up there. You can do all kinds of other things. In fact, I would highly advise that you go to like Nginx. You might do like Nginx Docker defaults or something, right? And then in here, you should find their official Docker hub. And here are all the tags. First off, there's all kinds of tags that you can pull down. But what I always care about is right down here. Where are the default values that I can change? Because we've had to change these before, right? Well, I should have it right. Where's it at? I'm going past it. Yeah. So here's your Nginx environment template, output dir. Here's your Nginx host and port, and these are values that you can change, like if you're using Compose. But we should have, where do I see it? Here's your entry point and host path Nginx. Where do they have? They show you right here how to host static content if you want to. So it's not like we did anything wildly like difficult inside of Packer. All we did was the same kind of thing. Where's that at though? I originally read it from here. You should have it gives you all the defaults. There's some of it there. Read-only mode. Read-only mode's useful if you want to show static content. You just want people not to be able to do anything or mess with your environment anyway. There's our entry point running. Well, yeah, I don't see. You can change the conf file if you need to. Yeah, I don't see it all in here. It's probably on a linked page nowadays, but they used to always have it right on front there, I thought. But anyways, you go find all the environment variables and change things as you need them to. We didn't need to change any of that, so we've got that all working. Boom. Now we're going to do something that, like, all those things you're like, okay, Scott, I did some tools. I could have Googled that. It even looked like I had Googled some of that, right? What special thing did you show me except how to run a Docker image, how to run an Apptainer tool, and how to do that? Well, what we start to do is build pipelines, right? Maybe we have things that automatically kick off when we do things and change things. So one of the first things we talked about in the automation course was triggers. And triggers, you may look at all this and go, I could do all that with Jenkins. I don't need any of this. And I'd say, that's fine. I know people who run hundreds of instances of Jenkins in companies. Jenkins is a fine tool. Jenkins, I would even say Jenkins is kind of the standard for a lot of pipelining. In fact, most of you that use it, you either love it or you hate it. Those are like I don't know anybody that's like, I'm kind of on the fence on Jenkins. People I know with Jenkins either love the tool or they hate it. And I think it depends on how much they interact with it, because people that use it a lot realize it's very reliable. We're not going to use Jenkins. We're going to build our own trigger. And some of you are going to go, I don't know if I'd build a trigger like that. And I'd say, that's fine. You don't have to. I'm just showing you another option, right? As with all the things in this automation course, there's reasons to do some of this stuff. And then sometimes there's reasons to say, well, no, we're a Jenkins shop. We don't need that. And I'd say, that's fine. I literally have no problem with the tool that most of you guys choose. But I do want to make sure that like people that go through the automation course have an informed decision about the types of tools that they need. We're going to use a tool called iNotify Tools, right? iNotify is very hands-on, Linuxy, and it's a very Linuxy way to do something, and we're going to watch a file or a directory. So Jenkins is fundamental primitive automation. I would 100% agree with that, Mint. And I know guys who are very good with Jenkins, and when I needed anything to be automated outside of my team's like control, I could always have those guys do it, and it would always work. So my experience from like kind of a guy on the side watching stuff always work well for them, the guys that knew how to run Jenkins, they had a pretty good handle on it. Oh, you need to push something up to GitHub and then pull it down and build it? I can do that all day, right? At least that's what I saw. All right, anyways, but I didn't ever need them, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But anyway, so you want to rapidly build a project every time that the static index.html changes. So when somebody publishes to this file or messes with this file in some way, even you, maybe you don't want to forget to build. You're a person who often forgets to build things, and maybe you just want to build your own little tool that anytime you build something static, it goes off and builds a new version of the container, and that container will not be up in prod, guys. That it has to go through some steps to get to prod, but it'll be just hanging out back here for you to build. Actually, I even say it at the end of this lab, we're not going to deploy this. We're just going to change it in the images. Could we then go and turn this into a full pipeline when we get to the next lab? Absolutely. Yeah. But anyways, this is going to be the start of the pipeline. Let's get the iNotify tools on the environment. So iNotify is a great way. Man, I have this ball at just exactly the wrong spot where the little zipper keeps getting stuck underneath it. And let's make ourselves our own little watcher script. And this is in the same directory. It's going to be super simple. I'll break down the script for you here in a second. I actually run one of these professionally at NOAA. A very similar script to this. I'll just write it. And it's very similar to this one, in fact. And we used to run one that was very similar to this in this channel. Some of the guys down in Prolog wrote it for me. And then when we would be sitting on stream, you guys could drop commands and they would go right into our Linux environment and they would run against sets of nodes that we had, right? And people would always be messing around, and then people would get banned and that kind of stuff. But it was fine because they're stateless nodes, so they just go down and come back up. But if people were being obnoxious, we would get rid of them. But what are we going to do? We're going to watch. In this case, we're going to go ahead and watch a whole directory. We can just watch just the file if we wanted, but I also have us just watching the whole directory here. And then what are we watching for? Creating, closing, writing, deleting, moved. So we're just keeping track of everything that happens in that directory. Then down here we have an iNotify wait. That is going to look for, it's going to be in monitor mode and recursively if we had other stuff in there that we wanted to monitor. And then it looks for any of the events, which are described right here. So it just drops that value right there, right? It interpolates it, as it were. And then there's a format, right? Nice little format. And then it says no new line. And then it goes off the watch directory, which is root packer that we're going to be messing around in. And then all it does is it reads that pretty much forever. It's just going to read in that directory. It's just going to sit there in monitor mode. And then I say if the file is equal to rootpacker index.html, so if the alert has that in it, right, then event detected on that file, and we're going to throw that into a file called rootpacker changelog. Also, it's going to come to the nohup.out that we run it with, but that's fine. And then also I say rebuilding Docker image with packer build whatever. But right here, I just want you guys to see this is just a simulation. If I took all this echo stuff off, we could just do the packer build every time. But I didn't do that because I was like, well, I think most people realize that if you're in a control structure and you do a command, or if you echo the command, it's the trigger is the thing that matters. It's like if I wanted to prove that you guys would all step on a certain tile in the room, right? And as you walk in, everybody steps on the tile, and I go, see, they always step on that tile. I didn't have to put a landmine underneath it to prove that. I could just watch you guys step on it, or maybe if you ever seen like Crash Test Dummies, you know how they paint their colors on their head. Do you guys know why they do that? So they know where their head hit on something. So like that's why there's like the orange and the white and the whatever, so they know what part of the head hit whatever the thing. That's always wet paint, in case you guys didn't know that, or it's a powdered wet paint, one of the two. I only know that because I worked with the insurance industry for a long time, but you want paint transfer, right? Anyways, that's neither here nor there. My point in saying that is we don't actually have to run the Packer build every time if we don't want to. We can just pretend, right? It's like reading lines as opposed to being in a real play. You could just read the lines in practice. So I'm going to make sure that that is executable, if that's very important. And then we're going to turn it on. So now it's running in the background. If I do like a ps ef grep for watcher, we see it sitting back there running in the background. It's just sitting back there running. And then I could just echo some change into our index file. And then now if I ls in this directory, we see that that change log has showed up. And if I go into that change log, it'll say there was an event detected on that file, we would be rebuilding that environment. So if we were doing stuff like that, wait, did I memorize the Fight Club formula? That's actually funny. No, I didn't. I've only seen Fight Club one time ever. And I can't say why that is because people get mad. We should have a nohup.out in here. Yeah. Oh, not man. More nohup.out. I want to show you guys why I sent these to two different directories. Do you guys want to bet that when we did stuff in that directory, a bunch of other things happened? Oh, well, maybe not. Let's just VI that file real quick so I can show you what I want to show you. Oh, not showing up over there. Oh, well. Typically, you'll get all these other things that happen in that directory because you're getting the setup of the swap of the file because you're writing to a journaled file. You're not writing to the actual file. Just all kinds of stuff that kind of happens in there. But I said this just tests the functionality of a trigger, but you do see how this could be useful to automate the build process, or hopefully you see that could be useful for automating the build process. I said where might you use this in your daily activities on systems? Where might you use a watch like that? There's a lot of reasons I can think of. It's a fine tool. There's other tools that do similar stuff like that, but that IO, what is it? iNotify Wait and iNotify the iWatch tools. Those are all pretty good tools. Where are they at? iNotify tools. That's what they are. Yeah, those are pretty good tools for tracking changes in files. Now, I couldn't use a tail. There's some tail methods that we could use to track things, but I didn't always know that the modification was going to be to the end of the file or additive of lines. And since I didn't know that, I couldn't use tail because tail won't catch if you modify something up later in the file. Tail is great for log files that are always immutable and being written to, but it's not great for modifications within files, which is what we want here. So we want any modification to the file, so we needed that in our events. All right, anyway, so that's the lab. And this says, look at you learning automation, use Ansible to interact with Kubernetes. Oh, I need to fix that. That was the wrong. So we were in 7, finish. Use Ansible. No, you used Docker files, Apptainer, and Packer to build ready to execute containers in your environment. Okay, you then automated a watch against a directory to trigger a build with Packer, right? And that's technically these all need to be capitalized because they're proper tools, right? Packer is the name of a HashiCorp tool. Apptainer is run by CIQ, and Docker files are a proper name of a thing that we'd do. So there we go. Let me fix that. Control S. Wait a minute. This is the wrong. Damn it. Control C. Control Z. Back all that crap out, guys. Oh, man. I didn't want none of that. Man, I'm dumb. I was in the wrong one. All right, we're going back to regular. We're going back to the way it was. This one has in its finish this one. There we go. All right, now we're better. Fixed. Wording on finish. For unit 6, right? Push that up. That gets built automatically into the labs. So, man, that's loud. So if anybody wants to do that lab, you guys can. All right, let's go back. Let's check there's nothing broken on lab 7, because I think I have lab 7 now set where it's no longer. Let's see. No longer says that it is under construction. Yeah, okay. So we got to go check lab 7 now. If anybody wants to do that with me, you guys can. And if you find errors in the labs, you can always do pull requests. Some people do that directly. Yeah, ADG over on YouTube. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. We're just hanging out doing labs and making sure my labs are cleaned up. I'm getting lab 7 done right now. And if I can get lab 7 done, if I can say that that's done, I'm very close to having everything. I'm very close to having everything I need done by tomorrow. So tomorrow is the deadline. Basically, I need to be ready for Unit 10, but I kind of want to be able to record 6, 7, 8, and 9 if I can tomorrow, because I'm kind of behind on those. We've done them as a group, but I want to record them for people, and then we'll go. So, all right, let's get this. Lab is designed as part of a larger set of instruction that's free. There you go. Your development teams have decided to use containers. You want to familiarize yourself with rapidly deploying environments of those containers. That's a good goal, I think, to have. You decide to look into ensuring that automation supports the different types of tasks that your team will need to complete. I think that's good. Here's some Terraform labs if you need to go do some Terraform labs. And I guess I didn't really give any, there's no like what you need to do up there, and that's fine. I said check that containerd is running and exposed on your system. So containerd is running. And then, so containerd is installed. Can you check that Terraform's there? So let's check containerd, good. And then do we have Terraform? Terraform's there on version 1.14.3. That may be important to you. It's definitely important as an admin and an engineer that you keep the version of your tools around. If you ever need to rebuild the system, if you ever need to get the same exact tools to work with the same exact environment, you should have those backed up. You should have the executable somewhere, you know, that kind of stuff. And then let's make sure that everything's running. So our environment, there's no images downloaded nor containers deployed on your system. Cool. So let's create our first deployment of Terraform. So we're going to create a Terraform configuration for running Nginx on port 8000. That is actually the exact same thing that we just did with, we just used Docker, or not Docker, we just used Packer, and we pulled down an image and modified the base index.html. But technically, then we could grab that container and run it here, right? So we start to see where we could keep building up more and more of this as we go. So we'll vi main dot, and we could go, well, it doesn't really matter where we do this. Why do I not see? I thought we had this down in a directory. Like I thought this said go down. Apparently. I do not make you guys do that. I mean, I would think that we would do that. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter that we're in a special directory, but I think it's better to make a directory to work in. And this is mkdir root terraform, and then cd root terraform, right? Control S, we just save that one. All right, so we VI our main.tf, and we're just gonna drop in all this terraform stuff right here. It's right there. And you can read more about it if you needed to. That's what I have that other thing for there. And we'll talk about it when I do the course. We'll break down what each of these are doing. But you've got a provider. That provider's not there by default, so now you've got to do a Terraform init. Now, check this out. This is going to fail. Terraform format and Terraform validate. This is fine. We haven't pulled down the init, right? So if I try to do a create right now, like if I tried to create this, it wouldn't work because it's like, bro, you don't have the things there. You need to do like a Terraform init first. So, did I not call that the right file? Oh my God. Can you guys stop me sometimes? What is this? Hold on.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Anybody know who that is? Good God, that's terrible. That was stupid. All right, so Terraform format and then Terraform validate's gonna fail because you don't have the provider you need. And then Terraform init is gonna make the pull down of the provider, and that should work if it's still there, which it is. And then it says you have that in a hidden directory in here now called .terraformd. So it's down in there. And then we do Terraform apply auto approve, and it's going to build. It's going to tell us what it's going to build. It's going to make two things, but we did auto approve, so it's just not going to ask us. It's just going to approve it and build it. And then if earlier we did see that we didn't have any images and we didn't have any Terraform or any Docker images or Docker containers running. Now we're going to see that we do have an image downloaded. Right there. And we do see one running. And then when we curl it, we actually see it sitting there as that default page. Not that cool page that we made last lab, but we could integrate that if we wanted to, right? We could bring that forward. All right. So now if we go look at the Terraform state file, this is JSON. And I say right here, warning, you really shouldn't edit that by hand. You better know what you're doing if you do that. Because if you take things out of the Terraform state file, they're not going to be tracked anymore by Terraform. They're not going to be created or destroyed. They're basically invisible to Terraform at that point. Because this is how Terraform knows from its state file. That's the only way it knows what it controls in that environment. That's the only thing it knows, what's in that file. So if you modify that by hand, you're responsible. So I say your team's very impressed. Can you do more? So let's destroy what's there. And let's go back into our main .tf, not TV. And let's just go ahead and come down here to, actually we can grab everything here, right? And now all we're doing, D500D, right click, paste, and we're gonna drop in now. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna get the provider, but we already have the provider, so now we're good. And then we're gonna say pull down that image. We have the image, that's fine. But now as we create the resource, we're gonna make 3 different resources, and one's gonna be called Nginx 8080, and he's gonna have the port 8080. Then there's gonna be an Nginx 8081 and an Nginx 8082. And by the way, that mirrors what we did in the other lab where we were setting up the listeners and doing we did it by hand in Linux and then we did it with Ansible. This is very similar to the same thing that we did, except now we're doing it inside of containers as opposed to virtual hosts inside of an Apache config. But I don't know, at some point it's all pretty much the same. No, it's completely different security and all these other concepts. But my point is at the end of the day, you're still just exposing ports, right? So anyways, we'll do a Terraform format. This is nice. Terraform format will always make it look nice if it can. And then it tells us there's some deprecated stuff that we might not be able to use anymore soon, but it's fine for now. Latest is deprecated. We shouldn't be doing that. Okay. We'll say duly noted. Just make it for us, right? Put the fries in the bag. That's what we're telling it. If you guys don't know that reference, it's yeah, just put the fries in the bag. All right. Anyways, so Then we're gonna go look and make sure that that's all. Gonna get kicked off the internet. And there we go. There's our 8080, 8081, and 8082. There's our three different, and those could pull if we wanted to. We could use Packer to build 3 different images, and we could make those pull those different images. We could do a whole bunch of stuff with this lab. We didn't. Look at you learning automation. You use Ansible to interact with Kubernetes and deploy and remove resources. So, okay, so some of you may say, Scott, you kind of stole that from your other lab. And I'm going to say, yes, I did. I shamelessly stole that. But I'm going to add to the presentation the things that we kind of talked about. But I'm still calling that one done. So look, that one's done. Boom. This is in work. So I still need to work on the worksheet and presentation for that week. Now, so I have all the labs done up until the lab for Unit 10. So I gotta get the Unit 10. That is so loud. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but this has to be done like essentially tonight, and then Unit 11 through 12 labs will just have to be this next week because I didn't get as much as I needed to. So let's see, worksheet. And obviously not the recording. Recording's not done either, but my goal kind of by today was to have all of these done so I could just be doing the recordings today, right? I could just be hanging out here doing these things in the environment and then showing you guys like actually doing the back end presentation. But alas, I am not that organized. I'd like to be that organized, but I'm not. But I'm calling all the labs done, so that's good. All the labs that we have up here are working and done as far as that goes. So now I just need to build the stuff and the presentations around each different part of these. All right, so I'm going to do that. But I'm going to take a break real quick. How's our little sand art doing up there? Let's see. It's just sitting there. Just sitting there. That little sand art's being lazy. We'll give that a second here. I'm gonna turn off my camera here. I'm gonna say hourglass. Tell you guys if you want to take a break. Move this over a little bit. Nope, not that. Don't move that over. Move this over. There we go. I'm going to say take a break and think about Linux. And we'll take 10 minutes. So take a walk. Keep an eye on that thing. I'll be back. again. Wonder what it's drawing. You guys see that? What's it doing? Little balls rolling around. All right, I'm turning this thing so that the thing's not down there anymore under this ball. But you see the little sand art going? All right. I still got 5 minutes left. I can go walk around more if I want. But I got water, so I'm good. I'll fill my cup up with more water. All right. If any of you come in later, then you're probably like, what the hell's going on here? Well, came in later, you're probably wondering what we're doing. We are getting my stuff all ready for presentation. And we got a pretty good amount of it done. Move this down, move this down here somewhere. And then turn me on. Not turn me on, but turn me back on so you guys can see me again. And what do we got here? Hold on, what the hell my brother's sending me? Give me a second here. All right, sending me more memes. I do love some memes. All right, people got here later, wondering what the heck we're doing. We're getting ready for the, I don't even know what's going on here. I worry when I got messages as I'm streaming. Bash study group should be coming up tomorrow. We got the 16-week automation course coming up. And then the automation course study group is coming up. That's Sunday, and then also Sunday. So events are coming for people that need them. Go drop this over here and see what people are messaging me about. What is this? That's pretty awesome. Okay, good. One of the guys sent me a message about most likely to build out a home lab with his AI. That's pretty awesome. Don't worry, guys. This is all I'm just filling this up with cold water over and over again. So now we're just drinking water. So let's. The worksheet is almost done on this one, so I think that we can probably finish that real quick and call that good. Then we're going to turn all these worksheets that are done into PowerPoint PDFs, not PowerPoints, PDFs, and then from the PDFs we will be able to give those to the guys so that they can keep working those into the book, because I know they haven't had a lot of occasion. We kind of took a break over most of Christmas time, Christmas holidays, that whole December time frame, and then I know they're going to get back into the swing of the stuff, so I'm going to do that. I really should open up the lab book and give the lab book a solid working on to get it all caught up as well. But we can get the worksheets almost done for this one. I do need to do tonight the worksheet for 9 and then 10. I need to put together the discussion questions. So I never did discussion questions for 9, so I need to put those out, and then I'll put those up in the Discord for people. If you're not familiar, if you do the courses with us, you have to do the discussion questions. It's just this idea that, you might say, oh, Scott, I don't really want people to see like what I'm working on, or I don't really want to see anybody watch me learn what I'm doing or whatever. And it's like, well, that's fine, man. But like when you go out to do admin and engineering work, people are going to look at what you do. So I kind of think it's a good practice to get into like dialoguing with people and I hate to say it like this because it's been so politicized, but like in a safe space where you can. Academia is supposed to be a place where we can kind of like challenge each other, but we're kind of playing with dulled swords. Like we're fencing and we're really trying to take each other's head off, but when it's done, we back off and go, hey, are you okay? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like academia is supposed to be that way. And when we work in a professional group, it should be that way too. It shouldn't just be a whole bunch of like, oh, you're so fucking stupid. You don't know that one thing about how that one tool works. And you're like, no, of course not, because I don't spend all my time doing it. Well, I do spend all my time doing this, so I can't say that. But I'm saying like other people, not everybody does all this all the time. So that's not, maybe that's not what they want to think about. But all right, anyways, so let's see what we got going on here. How's our labs doing? Looks like people are logging in. Oh, this was me logging into them earlier, doing all my checks. Had a bunch of checks that I was doing earlier for stuff. We had some discussion too. So I know people want to know about the Linux sysadmin course. We've had some discussion. We can see where the voting is on that if we want. Let's see where the voting got to on that. I'll probably have to cull the voting at some point. CULL, cull. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Cull, whatever. Let's go see what this thing says. I don't even know what's in here. People have been talking about all kinds of wild shit. I'm pretty sure I have. Where's that? It's from me. Shouldn't be that far up. People are sending their Christmas stuff. I think I have it right here, and it's going to jump us up. Yeah. So this is what I had originally as where the voting was, but the voting's changed. So let's go look at how the voting is going. I should probably relink the voting. It looks like, so I had put down 4 weeks, 6 weeks, or the normal schedule, which, by the way, is 16 weeks, guys. That's a long course. And I don't know, like I'd say 90% of people just lose interest. Or it gets too hard, or it's too time consuming, because it is, again, like 8 to 10 hours a week of time. If you're really spending time and getting in on the labs and doing the stuff, it's taking you some hours. I know a few of the guys that are here have done the course, so they would probably tell you it's significantly challenging. I mean, if you're newer, but it looks like people want to do about a 6-week schedule. We're torn between these, but I would say with the 6 pulling it back, that we're probably going to be somewhere. And I thought about doing a happy medium, since we don't really have, I mean, we don't have one like majority winner. We do have one that has more, but that's not really, it's not a majority of all of them. We could just do like a happy medium and say, let's do 8 weeks. I would maybe posit, that for the guys. But we would probably start it in February of this of this year now. Not next year, it's this year now. So that's something to think about. If we did 8 weeks, we could do it all of February and March and then just be done with it. I think that might work for some people. But that would be a significant, like 16 to 20 hours a week of work. So, I would just do weeks 1 and 2 together. We would just do the weeks together. But yeah, maybe I'll grab this. No, I want to copy the message link and say, remember to vote. Right. All right. So that's good. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing around here. This was me checking the labs earlier, making sure things look good. If anybody wants to know what the sysadmin course is about, this is what it would look like. The first week, if we did it by 8 weeks, first week would be getting lab access and then just using files, redirects, like basically everything at the command line you need to know to start off. And again, that would be very compressed. And then we would do storage, adding logical volume management and RAID to systems, and attaching disks and that kind of stuff, and then running. Operating running systems, so like checking like what processes are running, services that are running, how they started, where they started, users, all the kind of stuff that you need to do on a running system. Then we would add users and groups to systems and also turn on firewalls, because that's kind of like some basic security stuff, allowing users to connect in, troubleshooting users, looking at their dot files and those kind of things. And then we get into patching systems and some scripting. That would be the next week. That would be like week 4 then. Yeah. Then we do some Dockers and Kubernetes, but really just to kind of familiarize yourself with it, because if you're doing admin stuff, you need some experience with that. Then we talk about monitoring systems, and then doing some basic engineering, which is like baselining, benchmarking, and testing. All of those skills are directly related to being a good admin, because people are going to ask you, well, was the system under high load? And you're like, I don't know what a high load is. And you're like, I really whiffed on that one in front of 30 executives or whatever. That's not good. And then system hardening, which actually is part of patching, but system hardening and some of the benchmarking standards and that kind of stuff. And then some automation, but again, just touching automation. We can't go deep in 1 week. That would be grouped together. And then we do troubleshooting and incident response together, because those are just skills you just, every single post that I can go right now on Dice and find Linux admin or like NOC positions. And every single one of those guys is going to ask you if you understand troubleshooting and incident response, every single one of them. How's it going, Robodom, man? It's been a while. Hopefully you're doing good. We're just hanging out, and I'm mostly talking to myself and building stuff. I got the Unit 8 lab done. I got all the labs done now that I need. Well, except for Unit 10. I got to put that lab together. But that one will go pretty quick, I think, for what I'm doing. And then I need to come back and build the worksheet. So that's really my plan for tonight while I'm sitting here. So, yeah, Robodom, you're always welcome. I don't keep track. There's no what's it called? We don't keep attendance or nothing. But I do always appreciate when you're around. And Zorgal with the Happy New Year. Yep, I appreciate it. Some of you guys might have seen, I was on earlier, but I was just rewatching the last 2 days. I did some Ansible recordings, and I thought they turned out pretty good. They got through all of the material in 7 hours or so. So I have now 2 recordings that we can play. Guys, you can also just go find them over on the YouTube, right? We have playlists, and this playlist it's called Learning Ansible, and it's the most recent 2 files or whatever. But I think that one's like, I think anytime I'm working on labs and stuff, if you want to learn this stuff, you need to have a notepad out. But I would say that one is probably the most notepad ready of all of them that I have, of all the things I've done. Well, recently anyways, for sure. And then if you say, well, I need some of the other materials, all the materials are up in presentation for that. So you go to the presentation channel, and you go right here to Socratic Ansible, and here's all the answers from that book, from that. Every answer to that thing that we went over is right in here. So you're doing the labs, you're reading the Socratic Ansible, and maybe you're even watching the video, and then you grab this into your notes, and then you write other stuff that you learn and stuff that you need to go read right there. And that's the best I can do, guys, because I can't shove it down your throat. Like, I can't make you learn Ansible, but I can tell you I highly advise that if you guys want to get good at this stuff, there are ways to go. And I don't even want you to learn it by rote. I don't want you to do it 1,000 times until you've memorized it or something. I want you to go through and play with it and get it to work for you in ways that you need it to work. So, yeah, Zorgo, hopefully that stuff's useful. Yeah, I try to put together stuff that, like, I tell all the senior guys in our Discord, I'm like, try to make the road just easier for the other guys. I mean, this is what we're doing around here. Like think of how you wish somebody would have shown you some of this stuff that you found out reading a man page in the middle of the night because, some shit broke and the guy that was on, that project was off. So now you're the one who has to fix it. That's happened to me hundreds of times in my career. That's like a tale as old as time, right? Anyways, I'm not going to sit around and cry about it because it's a good career still, but like there's good presentations in our presentation channel, not just mine. Everybody that presents for us puts their stuff up there. So, all right. I'm just being lazy. I just am trying not to start stuff if I don't have to. So, I've been wrestling a lot, so I'm sore. Yeah, because everything I look at over here looks like work to me. But I need to get to it, so I guess I need some motivation. Do I need to put on some like Eye of the Tiger music or something? No, I'm just kidding. They flag you on YouTube immediately if you do that, so I can't do any of that stuff. But this stuff is all linked out there. Actually, everything's linked right from our prologue.org page, so you guys can always go here if you need it. And I think Robodom's been linking that, but I can also do that here. Robodom, how are you doing? Are you still looking for tech? I know if you guys don't know, Robodom is one of our. He's got Security Plus. He's been doing Linux with us for a while. Robodom, you've been around for. Oh, what? It's not Rob Dumb. It's Robodom. Oh, that thing's getting me in trouble. Doing soul searching? Yeah. Well, you're still working medical, right? I I appreciate the resubscription, Robodom. Make sure you refresh so you don't get stuck with any more ads. All right, well, here's what we'll do. We'll go grab, we'll go over here. Go to Unit 7, and we'll just clean up Unit 7 for now. How's that? So I can just, I can say that I at least did the work that I was supposed to. So for Unit 7, we've got basically 3 places that I would think that you would really want to maybe see links from. And they would probably be Packer, Packer, HashiCorp. So I would say probably, let's see, that's just HashiCorp. Let's see, Packer right here. Here's the labs. So I might say here, Packer Labs. Right? And then I might say another thing that you want from the course is the Apptainer. CIQ, so maybe like the Apptainer information, right? So here's glossary of Apptainer type things. Right, so what do you need to know about Apptainer and what it's doing? Where is solutions? Where is Apptainer at? There it is. There we go. About Apptainer and all that kind of stuff. I'll probably drop that right there. Apptainer. And then the last one that I would say that you really want to know about is, I'm a big fan of this Docker best practices, because then you can find all the other stuff off it. But Docker build best practices, right? So again, this is assuming that maybe you had never touched any of this stuff, guys. So you're learning about that. Take time to reassess the current job market and figure out if I should focus my efforts and energy toward. Yeah, because Robodom, you did some front end work, didn't you? And I don't know if you're still focusing on front end type stuff or not. I know a lot of people have moved around from. Actually, that thing says you've been around for 4 years now, not just 3. He did some front end stuff. Are you still thinking front ends for you, or are you gonna do some sysadmin, DevOps, SRE type stuff? I mean, you know, you stay in Linux, your future's open in pretty much all of those areas. Don't worry, guys. I'm still just pouring water in there. Might do a monster later tonight, but not right now. Kind of thinking about web dev is more supplemental now. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, and it also depends. I mean, you know, kind of what you want to get into, and you were technically working with us, I think, right? Like you were on our company, I think. You want to do more Linux? Okay. Yeah, Robodom, I'm working on getting the automation stuff all finished, and then we're gonna start doing. I don't want to call them one-day intensives, but maybe that's a good term for them. We're gonna do where instead of me releasing this stuff over the course of weeks, and then people like kind of there's interest high at the beginning, and then it drops off like this as we go. Because, well, look, I mean, people realize things are hard, and then they don't show up, and then, you know, they don't keep showing up. What I think I'm gonna do, and I had talked a little bit with Ekshanyam, who I think he's actually probably asleep right now because he's over in India. I had talked about what I'm gonna do probably is just start releasing, like, we're gonna do intensives, Robodom, and it'll be like, when I say intensives, it'll be like a bunch of this stuff, but it'll be in one day. And you say, well, how's that gonna work? So what we'll do is I'll release all the info, right? I'll put all the stuff out there so people can prep and study for like a week. Yeah, boot camp style. I'm not going to charge anybody anything for it. But if we want to think of it as boot camp style, sure. Because that'll be, I guess, kind of apropos. But then on the day of it, which will be like a Saturday, we will do probably in the morning a 4-hour block, and then maybe at night a 4-hour block, because the guys have asked me to do them separated so people from any time zone can come. And I'm okay with doing like my early morning and then my later in the evening on like a Saturday or Sunday. Sunday might be easier. But anyways, I'll do that, right? And what you'll do is we'll bring everybody in, we'll lecture, we'll talk about the thing, and then people will group up and do the labs and build this stuff, and then probably like even have a little project with it, and then we'll come back together and we'll talk about the experience. And I think that if we do that in like a 4-hour block, I think some people that'll probably really resonate with some people. And then people that do that, maybe they go in the morning and they're like, oh, I want to do it again. So then they come in the afternoon, they do it again. Or, if you can only come to one, I'm not really concerned with how people come and do that stuff. But I think there'd be some value there. I'm thinking here, talking and thinking, but I gotta keep doing. Maybe boot camp style is a good way to put it. But yeah, but I want to make sure everybody knows, Robodom, that when we do those, we're not going to charge anything. It's going to be like normal. And if we do, like the one that I for sure want to do is disaster recovery planning, where I show business impact analysis and business continuity planning as a component of that, and then show how to set up Bacula. And that's a big undertaking. Like that's a lot to learn in 4 hours. When I did the Bacula course on just the admin one, that was a whole week, right? So, but I do think that I could like show you the stuff, have people review it before would be even better for them, for the week before. Do the boot camp style, if you want to think of it like that. Get everybody in, and then maybe we even do it as like 2 weeks like that. Well, see, no, then now we start to get back into a course. No, we got to do it in one day. We're gonna have to do it in one day. Oh man, I don't know. Maybe we do it in 2 days, right? Have a morning and a night session, a morning and a night session. That might be fine, huh? I don't know. We'll figure it out, Robodom. We'll figure it out. But the point is, I got to have time to do it. I have a little bit of pressure off from my dissertation, but I do have to start working on it more. A little bit of pressure off from getting my last deliverable done. That's terms. Labs and assignment. The Unit 7 Kubernetes Automation Lab is this one. So I'm going to put the link in there. Kubernetes Automation. Okay, I got to put the link in this. So that's done. And then I got to go finish. This is Lab 7, right? Yeah. Hetanis. Automation Labs. Unit 7. Boom. Okay. Digging deeper will be what are some of the what are some other ones that why be run as non-root? So why should an application be run as non-root? That should be pretty straightforward for people. And then why is it to be an immutable container? What is it to be a sandbox container? What does this mean from the kernel standpoint? What does it mean to have a sandbox container? That's an important thing to know if you're going to be securing containers and securing what we call workloads. A sandbox container is running a different kernel inside of that. So only kernel calls that are allowed through that sandboxed kernel ever get to the actual system. So it's like it acts as like a filter for what gets back there. So it makes it much, much, much more complex and difficult on top of an immutable container, on top of a non-root running application, to be able to compromise the underlying hardware. It makes it immensely more complex. I don't want to say impossible because we know things like that aren't technically impossible, but all right. What do you still have questions about this week? What are you going to learn in your role? Okay. All right, so that is, let's back this up a little bit. I didn't have any useful tools for this one. Like no specific other tools. No, not definitions, terminology. I feel like this should be up here. That's good enough. No tools. Okay. That's 7 all done. Let's go check 6 too. Because then I can say, oh, where's 6 at? Go find 6 real quick. Oops. Where's his worksheet? Let's pull that up real quick. 6, okay, so 6 had, 6 is good. Okay, 6 is done. So what we need to do with them, which apparently I already did on this one, we need to make them into a PDF. I'm going to delete the old PDF and make sure that I delete. So save as, I'll just make them a PDF. Boom. And then 7, save him, make him a PDF as well. I see that we can save it as a PDF, but I don't know how that works, so I'm just going to do it right here the way I know. I'm a very much a one-trick pony. Okay, so now if I have both of those, and those are both good, I can drop those in the Discord under Writer's Room, and I think it did say Unit 6, so man, that's how far behind I was. That was on 11 too. Ugh. All right, we're gonna say Unit 6 automation worksheet, and then I'm gonna say Unit 6 is mostly the same. Unit 6, same is new. Okay, so the guys in the writers' room have it. Robodom said, "How were your holidays?" They were actually really good. We had so my grandbaby was in town. So if you guys don't know, I'm a grandpa, and he's almost 5. So he turns 5 in February. Like I think the 12th, in fact. On right that 12th is right before Valentine's Day, right? So the wife's gonna go up there for that. I might be able to make it up there for that, but I might be traveling. Also, Robodom, when is Scale? I haven't heard about them. Like, I haven't heard if they want me to speak at Scale yet. I put in a talk for Scale, but I haven't heard if they want me to speak at it or not. If I do speak at Scale, I'm going to modify my talk a little bit from the original one, which is the werewolf one. So if they do that, should be March 5th. Okay. Yeah, and actually the wife had that on her calendar as March, and I was like, I thought it was in February, but if it's March, that's fine. I just need to make sure they want me to talk, and then just figure out what day they want me to talk, if they do, and then I'll do that. And Robodom, can I ask you, because I didn't see this anywhere on there, are they okay with me? Like I'll do the whole talk for the time. You know, I think it's like an hour talk or whatever they give me. I can do the whole talk for the time, and then can I mean, it'll be if they want to do it, but I'm going to give them labs if they want to go do some of the components that I show. I can do some of that stuff up in Killer Coda now, so yeah, Robodom, no rush, but you're in Discord still, so you can always hop on and we can talk. But 6 is mostly the same, Unit 7's new, okay, so I have that, and I'm going to say 7. The worksheet is done. But now I got to do my presentation for 7. So let's pull up my Unit 7 presentation. And here's the old one. So Unit 7, announcements, 7th class meeting, any announcement reschedules will go here. That's last week's stuff. Boom. That's all stuff that we had talked about the week before. Docker images, writing HashiCorp, writing Aptainer. And then actually Aptainer should be before HCL. Okay. And then this week will be container environments. Nope, that's not right. So, shoot, I gotta go find. So there we go. Oh, so that is the same. That is the right question. And then that's right. Using a code snippet for Terraform. All right, let me make sure that that's not still what I have in 8 then. Because 8. Yeah. 8's going to have all this new stuff. Eighth. Last week is going to come from this one now. The lab for this one, lab for Unit 7 is now container. Oh gosh. We're just gonna save it and we're just gonna container environments. We're going to copy this and move this forward into the last week. There we go. Because Unit 8 will look back at Unit 7, and then Unit 7 will have, when I put in the Unit 7 stuff, that'll be what moves back to Unit 8. Speakers give out materials for their presentation, but again, I'll double check. That's fine, Robodom. Yeah, no rush. What I would do probably is just give a link to the labs in case people wanted to do some of these builds, and they would actually be the 9 and 10 labs, which are going to be like the building and the hardening of, so if they want to do some werewolf stuff, they can in the labs. So I think that'll be good. All right. Gotta think about what we're doing. It's always good to have a few graphics, so I could go draw some graphics. I think I also have over here in our when I was originally making this. I didn't draw anything here. I do have a container image workflow, which is modifying an image this way. And we do kind of talk about that back here, so we don't have to talk about that again in week 7. Okay, so what would I want to draw? If I were drawing things out, right? Like if I were drawing things out like we did in our other pieces, what do I think is the kind of most important part of this? And I would say, honestly, maybe the most important part is this one that we already show. So the container image workflow isn't really fundamentally changing as far as that goes. So maybe this week's part of the talk will just be on the what we're doing. Get this out of the way. Let's pull this up. Where's that? Let's go look at what we're doing here. So maybe we might be able to find a good image of from with let's see if there's any images of that first off, because So I kind of had my way that I thought that I should draw this. Yeah, we'll do it my way. So Terraform, what you get is you draw you make an HCL or main. In this case, actually, it's a main.tf in HCL, HashiCorp language, right? And this, see if I was trying to think if this would actually look right if I did something like this, but this might work. So Terraform. And you write, so you write a main.tf in HashiCorp language, right? And then what happens with Terraform is Terraform runs a Terraform init, right? Init like that. And then maybe you run your Terraform apply, right? And this main dot, this thing's just coming down, right? As you run each of these things. And the Terraform init will download the providers. Yeah, we'll clean this up. I'm just trying to figure it out right now. No. What the hell was that? There we go. Boom. That up a little. It's always a mess. Right? So Terraform init downloads those required providers you need. So we can clean this up a little bit. Make it look a little nicer here. This comes down. Right? And then from here, we come down. Terraform apply is actually going to build I'm not very good at this tool, in case anybody was wondering. Builds the required resources, and then from there that turns into, right, that generates, we can go like this and say right here, generates the file that we know of as Terraform dot is it TF state? Somebody help me out here. Is it Terraform or just, I think it's TF state. Does that sound right? I think that's, is that right? What's the name of that file? Get out of here. Or is it just tf.state? What is that name of that file, guy? I'm gonna have to go do the lab again. I don't remember. Guys, I got a tiny brain that doesn't remember anything anymore. That's my problem with everything. I can't remember anything anymore. All right, we'll go find it. Fine, we'll go find it. Yeah, RoboDom, it'll be good. My talk's actually recorded, but I'm gonna do a newer, updated version of it too. So, hold on. Yeah. Let it install real quick. I can't remember. I think tf.state. I don't know. Terraform.tf.state. I don't remember. Been looking at the thing for like 5 years and I just can't remember it. I think it's tf.state. But somebody help me out. One of you guys knows. One of you guys have been just itching to tell me something. It's tf.state. One of the guys was saying he was kicking off Terraform earlier, so if he's around, he knows it. I just kicked it off a few minutes ago and I literally can't remember. Oh man, what can you do? Come on, server. Taking the longest time to install those tools. It's putting Terraform on in the background, so that's where we're at right now. I think all of these are recorded, so we don't need to look at them anymore. Oh, are those all not updated? I don't know what the changes were over there, but we're going to save them so they're synced up. Whatever they were. All right, that's done. Go, CD in there. Oh, we did it back there. Shoot, maybe we didn't need to do it again. All right, main.tf. Just make it real quick here. Okay. Terraform validate. Terraform init. We'll see everything there. All right. Main.tf. Create our two things, and then when we do our ls-l, there it is. Terraform.tf state. There it is. Yeah. I couldn't. I was like sitting here going, was it tf.state, terraform. I think it's terraform.tf state, but we're gonna test it now. Now that I'm in the lab, I had to come all the way over here. I'm gonna test it. Yeah, it is terraform.tf state. So we'll call it. Oh man, what am I? Oh, I'm building it over here. I was like, where's my drawing? Terraform.tf. Well, I guess I was right. And this will be in. JSON format. Oh god, don't tell me I did. That's the most annoying thing in all the world when you get out of here. When you accidentally do the when you're in the shape, and then it's like you can't independently move the size from the shape. This will be in JSON, right? And then download the required providers. We could also put where those required providers download things to. Terraform apply, and then we have so Terraform does those things, and then we can also do a Terraform destroy. And this only destroys things that are tracked. So it only destroys things that are tracked in the Terraform state file. All right, there's other Terraform commands, but I think that that'll be fine for, it's good enough for government work, right? You grab this. That'll be my contribution to the drawing. All right, we still got to do this week's stuff, but then we'll duplicate the slide, and we'll say Terraform. Terraform workflow. I don't care. Get out of there. Boom. Should I make it smaller? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, guys. That's fine enough workflow for me, for what I want to talk about anyways, right? Yeah, and I could say Terraform destroy reads from that file and then only destroys things that are in there, but that's fine. That's a fine workflow for what I want to talk about. This week's talk then would be, I got to make it look like one of these other ones. So again, like normal, I steal from myself. Let's go over here and say, Unit 8 last week will actually come from this. So let me, I thought I had this, I thought I already wrote this. Oh, there's this week. Okay, well I guess I don't need. Container environment. So no. Unit 7 is. Oh, too much work, guys. This feels too much like work now. Unit 7. It's a small team. Yeah, that's right. Unit 7, is that right? That's my Terraform stuff, so it's definitely this week. Okay. Alright, fuck it. There we go. That's Unit 7's for that week. And then I save Unit 7 because Unit 7's essentially done. And then Unit 8 for last week will get. That's actually right. Okay, we'll leave it as it is. Okay. That's perfectly fine. Unit 7 review. So, oh god, don't tell me I just closed that one. You guys gotta stop me. You guys gotta stop me like all the time. I'm constantly closing shit that I don't want to close. Unit 7, get back up here. Okay. Unit 8. As last week. Unit 7's review is gonna be just this whole shit. Delete slide. Copy slide. Come over here. Always such a mess, guys. I keep track of all this stuff. There we go. So last week was that stuff, and it'll just have the Terraform workflow, and then this week will be Unit 8. That'll be push button solutions around Kubernetes, and then we'll get into our Kubernetes with all that Ansible stuff. So Unit 8 will be good. Unit 7, now it's done. Now I don't need it anymore. Get out of here. All right. Oh, yeah, you're right. I don't have a plan in there, do I? Oh, yeah. Should be in it to download everything, plan, and apply. I definitely have that in the lab. Because I have the format validate in it to get everything, and then I apply. No, I mean, I guess you could do plan to see it. Yeah, you're probably right. I probably should have a plan in there. I'm gonna put over here. Let's see, we'll add a movie quote. All right. Terraform also has a plan, but a plan is just a list of things that don't happen. How's that? Is that good? Can I add that in there? No, that is Leith. That is actually a good idea. Yeah, if you were gonna apply something, you would see. Anybody know what that movie quote is? Hell, I'll even let you use the internet. I wonder if that movie quote will come up. I think that will. Hayes, how's it going? Hopefully this stuff's good for you. Yeah, good for you. Use Terraform plan out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a plan. What's up? Anybody know what that movie quote's from? You guys try to find it if you want. This should be on the. That should be on the internet. It's a pretty well-known movie from 2000, 2001-ish. I think it was 2000 when that came out. 2000 or 2001 for sure. And then if nobody gets it, I'll tell you guys who's in it. And then you guys can figure out what it is. The quote's on the right over there. A plan is just a list of things that don't happen. He looks at him at the end of the movie and goes, "You want to make a plan?" Yeah. Plan's just a list of things that don't happen. And then where is this? This is in 8, so I need to put this back on the other one too. I gotta open 7 up again. I should just leave 7 open, huh? Probably should just stop closing down 7. Stop closing 7, Scott. Because you need it anyways. It wasn't Jaws. It's a good guess though, but no, it wasn't Jaws. Jaws was like late 80s, early 90s. No, this movie was Jaws even older than that? No, this movie's from like 2000, 2001ish. If you want to know who said it, Ryan Felipe said it to Benicio del Toro. Oh, was it 1975? Jaws is older than me by like years. It's older than my wife too. Should be Jaws. No, this is a movie with Benicio del Toro and Ryan Felipe, and one of my favorite scenes that's ever been put in a movie is put in that movie. Oh, you got it. Yep, Way of the Gun. And if you haven't seen Way of the Gun, I'm not telling any of you guys that it's a good movie. I'm not going to tell you that because you're going to come back and be like, Scott, that movie is terrible. It's atrocious. I'm going to tell you, it's a great movie for movie quotes. It's a great movie for quotes and like things about gunfighting. But is it a good movie? I don't know that I call that movie a good movie. But that movie it's dark. Yeah, there's a guy who plays Russian roulette for a good like 5 minutes while the phone's ringing. Maybe it's like about a 2.5 minute scene, but it's like that phone rings so obnoxiously long. It's like a landline, so it's never going to voicemail. If you guys don't know what that means, that's okay. Means you're just too young to remember what landlines were. All right, let's save this one. We're not going to close this one again, though. We're going to leave 8 is open, and then we're going to go into this week, which will be 8, which is Kubernetes automated deployments, and it is those things. And then we'll duplicate that slide and then just start wiping these things as we go into the Kubernetes part, which I probably need to look at the lab, because what we do in there in this lab, we use Ansible to create and destroy Kubernetes environments. Could you do it a different way? Oh, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. Oh, you know exactly what it was? And do you know what my favorite scene is in that movie? Because I cannot stand the female actor that it happens to. Anybody know my favorite scene in that movie? It's Sarah Silverman getting punched in the face at the beginning. Ryan Felipe it's just such a dark movie and a dark scene. But anyways, happy belated New Year, especially for Ranger. Yeah, John Doe, if you didn't know, Ranger didn't make it to this year. But Ranger is a good dog. We have repurposed his camera. His camera now sits up there and just draws little sand art. That's my wife's little sand art thing, in case anybody was wondering what that was up there. So I like to use Godzilla to destroy. That's funny. So yeah, we were using Ansible in the lab, and then I got to think about, like, I don't know, how do we want to visualize that? How do we want to talk about that? And I even say when we, I guess I should probably put it in the presentation, where it's like, this isn't the only way to do this. There are other ways to deploy into Kubernetes. Some of you might go, well, can't I just use Helm, and can't I just build my own charts? Sure. Couldn't I just use flat files and do declarative calls against a bunch? Sure, absolutely. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. But a tool like Ansible may be able to pull information out from somewhere else and put it in as a secret or as a config file in a environment. Now, we don't do that in the lab, but we do have another lab where we do that from Vault, and we could make those labs work together. That wouldn't be hard to do. So, Yeah, Robodom, that's just a little thing. That looks like it's doing just one of her generic designs up there, and I don't even know if that thing's moving right now. It looks like it's hanging out because there's just one little metal ball that moves. But I will tell you that it goes and it waits for like 15 minutes and then it wipes itself in a circle and then it starts drawing something else. Yeah, Robodom, it definitely moves. Yeah. Yeah, it's not moving right now though. I'll let you know when I see it move again. But when it starts moving, it's going to move for like minutes, maybe 20, 30 minutes at a time. Yeah, because it takes a long time to draw. It'll wipe that whole thing. It'll circle out and wipe the whole thing, and it'll start over. But you'll see it moving. Yeah, should be moving. Let me go I'll check the source of it and make sure it's moving. Yeah, this is the source. This is the source looking down on my fridge over there. That's the old Ranger cam, some of you guys remember. But then I just have it filtered down to just that one section right there. So, in case anybody was wondering. But yeah, it's just sitting there chilling. I got to get the cabling around it better, but yeah. All right, yeah, Rip Ranger, yeah. Yeah, Ranger was a good dog. He did a lot of good stuff. What do we want to say for this week then? What do we want to describe in Unit 8 as we're talking through that automation portion? Let's go look at the Unit 8 questions. Okay. So we do have the discussion questions already written. So let's make sure those discussion around releases and deployments with K8 as a focus and push button solutions for K8. So those were the two topics of our discussions for the week in week 8. And we did do those, so we did have that, and we did talk about automation. I do need to clean up. Oh, so the Kubernetes core module does need to be there for this one. Those terms do need to be there, so we do need that. And then this one will be now Unit 8, lab on Kubernetes automation. And that lab is done, so we can go grab that lab real quick for Unit 8, because I do have that lab done. Here, Kubernetes different techniques. And I guess what we could do if we really wanted to is just run through the lab and see what it makes us do. So here's other use cases for Kubernetes and Ansible. So we did that one, and then deployments in Kubernetes. So we did have a fair amount. I think this is pretty well, I could pretty much call this one done as far as that goes. So I'm going to take this file, save as PDF, save it in that environment, and then I'll take that, which is over here, and I'll give it to the guys. Unit 7, but that's over in Unit 8, and I'm going to say this one is copy. Good. There we go. All right, good. The guys are still working, which is good, which means that it's good that I'm working on this stuff too, because they're always building the labs and keeping the course up to date. If you guys ever need the course stuff, it's all free. You can find it up here. Do I have the lab guide? I need to work on the lab guide quite a bit. But the automation course is here. Here's a syllabus for anybody that needs it. So if you guys need to get in here and look at any of this, this is the course book stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Robodom, you should see it moving right now. It's moving. It's driving across the page. And I think it's going back to the middle to start its circle, because it'll take 15 minutes and wipe the whole screen, as it were. It's just sand. It's like a little sand art things. Robodom, that was one of the best gifts I ever got for my wife, because she was like, "What the heck is this?" Yeah, no, and it actually has like this hum to it that, like, when I'm not listening to music and talking to you guys, I can hear the hum, and it's almost like a relaxing low hum. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, I mean, that's simpler than like 3D printing, to just have a little, two-dimensional thing that just, it's a magnet underneath it that just drags a steel ball around. That's pretty straightforward, pretty simple to build. Yeah, I think it's doing its circle pattern right now, so you're going to watch it just wipe that whole thing out. And then it'll sit for I want to say 10 minutes. She has a little app that she configures it, but it'll wipe this whole thing and then it'll sit and then it'll start drawing something else. So yeah, it's moving up there. Yeah. Somebody told me the other day, they're like, I'm not even listening to you. I'm just watching that. And I'm like, well, then it's doing its job, because some people like that kind of stuff. Some people like to just be mesmerized and sit around and just, you know, whatever. It's done Van Gogh's Starry Night. It's done oh man, it draws snowflakes. It's got like hundreds of things it can draw. They're pretty cool little art things. But yeah, I think right now it's just wiping itself out. So that's a cool little thing. All right, I'm going to move this down then and call that good. However, the presentation for 8 has something to be desired, because I have to add. So I got to think about what kind of. So that week for 8 is Kubernetes automated deployment, and that's part of that may be. Part of this may be like the Kubernetes components, if they have a good drawing of it. This might be a good drawing to include, right? And then we're going to have the different components that we might add, interact with, I guess, right? And I can talk about those things. And then let's see, is there objects in Kubernetes? Okay. This might be useful. Oh, that's not great. Let's grab this. It's all what we call fair use, right? You guys know what fair use is? You're not using it to really make money, so you can use a certain amount of people's work. But they also have that open source for people, so I'm okay with that. We might need to put a white background behind this part just so it's easier to read. Let's do a draw. Actually, I think that's insert as a shape. This. And it might just be easier because it was on a white background before, you know, to just do that, and then we'll make the fill white, and then we send it to the back, right? Oh, but not behind this. Let's send him to the back too. Boom. There you go. That's not hard to look at. And then this will just be Kubernetes components. And then let's see if we can find in their documentations namespaces, because that's kind of what we're doing. John Doe said, is Bash Learning Group still going on? Yeah, the guys that sit together and do like Saturdays. Yeah. That one, I don't run that one. I think that this Bash study group is run by Kolkus normally, and I think they're back to it tomorrow. But if they're not back to it, he typically sends like a message in the Discord. But this should be going. He does almost always take his notes when he's done and put them up in either like the Bash and System Tricks. He puts them up here a lot, or I think he sometimes puts them in meeting notes too. Also, these were our drawings from the other day. So people that were around doing some of our work yesterday and the day before. I don't know why I have something in my mouth. That was weird. Like part of dinner. These are the drawings that I did while we were sitting there talking. So if anybody needs those, that's more in context of that. But I think he typically puts what he's doing in here in the meeting notes. Yeah. There's nothing stopping him from writing in here. So they have. Yeah, we always put stuff that we're doing in there. So yeah, so even if you miss it, it should be there. But yeah, he should be doing that tomorrow. We're back on the 16-week automation course tomorrow. We're going to be back in Unit 10, which is, you might be noticing that I'm working back on Unit 8 right now. Yeah, because I'm catching up. So let me see namespace. See what they have. Do they have any drawings for namespaces? Yeah. There's a walkthrough. I could do my own drawing, right? Like I know what we're deploying. It's just sometimes I like to use somebody else's drawing. No, nothing in there. go back here. Kubernetes components. See if there's any good namespaces drawings. So we know that one, right? That's from the Kubernetes. Here's a cluster architecture. This is also from the same site. See what this kind of looks like. Cluster nodes, pods, CNI. They're not really dealing in namespaces here. Not that that's wrong. I mean, those are correct. Namespaces are more of a logical than a physically where you are. It's more of a logically who you belong to, especially as far as DNS goes. I don't see what I need there. That's a LinkedIn one. I don't want to use anybody's LinkedIn crap. I really would like to get it from one of the Kubernetes, like official, you know? I can draw it. I was just hoping that they had it on the official docs, you know. Official docs tend to be fair game for, I mean, it's all fair game for fair use as long as you're not using it and as long as you're not selling it, you know, like teachers and student type stuff. But okay. Yeah, I don't see any that are gonna be what I want, so I'll have to draw them. Darn. All right, so we have to put screw it. Just gonna be like Pingu and not do it. You know, like just crosses his arm and goes, no, now I'm not doing it. That's how I feel. Unit 9. What's Unit 9? I'm all over the place. Build and deploy. So Unit 9 is going to be our werewolf stuff. Okay. So let's go and do see if we have any fun from my old drawings. Well, my other. Where's my werewolf? Let's look at my werewolf one. And this is recorded in case anybody needs this one. But what I want to do is see. I have a lot of stuff in here that we can use because there's a lot of stuff in here that deals kind of directly with customizing image, specifically this one, which we actually do this one in Unit 9, so that's good. Editing images through the chroot jail, building and defining nodes we don't do, and neither do we customize overlays, but we do bake up so I actually have a couple of things that I don't have in here that I want to add. But this one, and this one are all things that I can copy these slides and at least move them over into my Unit 9 one. Now, I know I'm not in Unit 9 yet, but I can at least drop them down in here. And let's see if we can do that, and then I'll play with the formatting later. But we'll keep them with the default, how they were. Let's get that out of here. But we need to think about, so the discussion questions tend to be around like the things that we're doing in the labs and the things that we're talking about in the course. So this week for Unit 9, which was a few weeks back, it was building and deploying Linux systems, right? So what I might say we look at is let's look at this one and performance compute security specifically, right? And go to documentation, and here's the DOI number for it. And it's withdrawn draft, but that's fine. And then we say I might say go to this page. So go to page 8 and 9. Sections are container usage and diskless booting. Okay. And the first question would be, as you're thinking about those things, what are the main security concerns given about using containers in HPC? And it's containers anywhere, but it's HPC for this talk. And then the second question will be, what is the PXE or iPXE Right, so PXE is one that you guys hear me talk about often, iPXE and PXE. Yeah, I don't know, Robedom, if you're still around, but that thing's just drawing a big circle right now and wiping the whole sand art up there. Virtual, okay, yeah, I think that's a good start. That question is a good start. And then actually, as I get these done, I'll be dropping the questions up there kind of as we go. The other question for this is, I'm probably going to say to read this and then say, what functionality do you find useful for interacting, read about the Ansible right, and then the first question will be, what do you think is useful for a team? This may be one that you do after you do the lab, because you'll have seen some of it already work, and then I give you a really limited run of like what you can do with it. What function I think is useful for a team deploying pods inside of Kubernetes? And that should be capitalized, good. And then maybe, what are the requirements? Is that like a totally different, what is that? That was weird. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that was a totally different format. What are And by the way, you might say, wait a minute, Scott, I know this. You said, why might you want to know this? And the answer is always for security team and so that my stuff always works. And I would tell you, oh, you got me. I'm a one-trick pony. That's literally the only thing that I care about with versions of things. It's like, I always want my crap to work when I hit the button to make it work. And I always want to be able to answer security. So if you put that down in your discussion, then you're going to be right every time. Okay, so let's go. We'll drop this in because I don't think I had done these ones yet. So we'll go to the course discussion posts, and we'll go to the automation course. And yeah, you'll see I only did up through 7 and 8. Yeah, I never put 9 up. I'm such a shitbag. All right, so I'll show you guys how we build these. We don't want admin. We just want automation course. There's only up through 7. We never did 9 up here. Okay, so we'll just do a new post, and we'll go grab unit 9, and here is unit 9 discussion post 1. We always tag it to the automation course right here, and then we say, oh, we don't want that. There we go. Unit 9 discussion post to pane. There we go. That's 1. And then get rid of that, and then automation course. So new post, tag it as automation, and we say right here, unit 9. There we go, that was my bad. Boom. So now people can start to get on track again with the course. Right. Unit 9. Boom. There we go. All right. And also, I always say in there when I do that, I always say Unit 9 discussions up. All right. Who even knows what's going on there? New people join the server. Always appreciate that. We're almost at 4,500, guys. We're getting up there. We have a little bot that'll tell us user count. 4495. Getting there. All right. Definitions, terminology. Sure, we have a lot. I probably should. Some of these notes are more for you guys. Let's fix our where the lab is going to. So the lab is going to lab 10. Let me make sure 8 was right. That's gonna bug me if 8 wasn't right. 8 was right. Okay, good. Here's oops, that's the wrong one. Wrong one. Lab 9. Lab 9. That lab walks you through installing Werewolf and then building a base image inside of Werewolf and configuring it and modifying it and that kind of stuff. The next one, the next lab for Unit 10 is going to build on that, and then it's going to do a whole security thing that I have, which will be to basically stig it. You won't stig the whole thing unless you want to, but you're gonna get some practice with stigging. You're gonna see some of the hardships of like the stig. There's all these great stigging tools that will get you pretty close to a hardened box, but only on a running full, stateful node. Stateless nodes have all kinds of other considerations involved, and that'll be part of what we talk about tomorrow. Enough things to give you heartburn and a headache and just a big mess of waste of your time. But it's good to know how to build them, I think. So I think showing you guys that will be a useful thing. So that'll be into what we do for tomorrow. I'm going to say read the other parts of this doc for more HPC understanding. And then we'll give you this doc here. It's that NIST publication. Good. All right, fair enough. 2, and then we go in and we'll say for this question, we'll say, oh, Control Shift T will open the last one in case you ever need that. It's a nice one if you close something you didn't want to. On page 11, page 3. 11. Page 3. Your web viewer could be different. Oh shoot, I didn't mean to turn that on. There we go. How long's that been on? I don't know how long that's been sitting there. Probably since I did Control Shift V in one of the labs. Jeez, that's been a while. All right, I need to delete that hotkey maybe, because that's not the right hotkey for that anyways. But okay. Oh, did I also turn the ticker off? Yeah. Guess that ticker's been off for a while too. Yeah, well, I don't care. So yeah, there's that. All right. I think 9 is pretty okay. Oh, 9 probably has a lot of werewolf stuff. I need to add all the werewolf stuff. So there's a lot of werewolf terminology that I should probably add. Maybe some HPC stuff too, if we're focusing on that. Yeah. All right. Also, it's like surprisingly warm in Phoenix for only being, what's it supposed to be right now? It's only supposed to be like 67, but I'm like surprisingly warm in my house right now. Oh, it says it's 61 out right now, and it's still pretty warm in my house, so. Put my fan back on me over here. All right. What else do we have? Anything good? Yeah, nothing right now. All right. Well, I'll tell you guys what I'm doing. We're at about 2.5 hours. We're just kind of hanging out, working on stuff. I'm gonna keep working on stuff, but maybe I'll just hop down in the Discord for a little bit in case anybody. I know I talked to some of the guys about if they had any questions today, and we were gonna circle back on like patching systems and stuff like that, which I'm always willing to talk about. So I've had many, probably 10,000 plus hours of patching systems in my career. So, you know, and that is against hundreds of thousands of servers now over the years. So, you know, I definitely always try to show people the way that I've patched and made that kind of a successful endeavor. So, yeah, it's not too cold, Robodown, but it's like warm in my office. I don't know why it's warm up here right now. I mean, I have been working out every day, so that could be part of it, but I feel like warm. So we'll drop off of here, but we'll catch up. And for people that want to, you guys are welcome to hang out down in the Discord. If you ever see me in one of the voice channels, if you ever see anybody in the voice channels, you're welcome to go hang out down there. But I'll be down there probably hanging out. So, all right, guys, take care. I will see some of you guys tomorrow for the course. So take care. There you go, Robodown. You should be able to see it pretty good right there. He's really moving. Look at him go. It'll wipe it pretty good.